It is coming up on 840 Newstalk Sauga 960 Raw. Mike Richardson. I told you my buddy Darren McCarty would be coming up. The famed Tank Sinatra, which might be one of the greatest names of all time. And you will see this later on today when we throw this out on Twitter. You're going to see the whole interview as we're doing it via Zoom here this morning. But he looks like $1,000,000. Our friend Darren McCarty. Buddy, how you doing?
I'm good, Richie. How you doing? Nice to join you and Dave. And it's been a while and stuff. Everybody's keep going, but good to connect and see what you're doing. But always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Well, you know what? Look, there's never a dull moment. If I say Darren McCarty is like, yeah, there's probably nothing going on there. What Darren McCarty are you talking about? There's always something going on there. And you right now are in, I think, an exceptional place, just having the chance to catch up with you off the air and see how your family. And by the way, so for people looking at that picture that was tweeted out of you in one of your 4 Stanley Cups with your son on your shoulders, the little boy. Why don't you tell us about the little boy, how old he is and what he's been doing? Because this is a great story.
There's a little perspective for everybody. So that little kid hanging on my shoulders there in 02 when he was 6, turned 24 yesterday, and just is graduating from UCLA. It's one of those things that you always, my son's love of the game is probably more than mine, but unfortunately he will never play at the NHL level, which, there's so many kids that, have dreams of doing that, but he can always stay in the game. So what he did, even though he got concussion problems, he got himself into school at UCLA. He'll be graduating this year, and he went out and set the club record for points and stuff, traveling all around. So couldn't be prouder of the kid, but they do grow up. So he's 24, and he'll be in the game somewhere.
Well, and look, from the time when you got into it, where you saw USA Hockey. Obviously a big part of it, but not like it is now. I mean, I look at where you can play hockey now. You tell me I can go to Arizona State, buddy, I'm gone.
Well, amen to that.
Things are a little different, right? Might be rolling around with the media degree and a suntan. What do you mean I could play hockey in the sun? Wait, what are you talking about? No, and it's a great testament to the sport and to the game, and boys, girls, everything else. What did the one thing that I just read? They're coming up with a new 3-on-3 league with a lot of the my former teammate Larry Murphy. I know Trotz is there, but the interesting one is Angela Ruggiero, who is a good friend of mine. She's from Michigan, but she's one of the U.S. Olympians from back in the day, female. So she's going to coach a team. So it just goes to show you, when you love hockey, when you love the game, don't. Just because you can't play it, and there's only like 0.1% of us that were fortunate enough to make it on that list, but the love of the game's still there. So I implore everybody, whether it's your kids, your family, male, female, we all love the game in the same way.
Hey, D-Mac, tell us about Grind Time. I know you're a podcast legend now, or slowly becoming that anyway. How often do you guys podcast? What's kind of the format? And I'm guessing that you kind of you have a lot to talk about, a lot of grinding to do, just like you did on the ice.
Well, here's the thing: Grind Time with Darren McCarty, which I started that almost right over 2 years ago. But when I tell everybody, when you see Grind Time with Darren McCarty, that's mine. Whatever I want to talk about. So it's like the people I want to meet, the conversations that I want to have, or either I know people or introduce them to me. That's mine. Everything else is coming on different people's shows. We'll talk hockey. I'll talk whatever you want. You just, whatever I'm interested in, but that is mine. So I have something else, 25 on 19. I was just working on this one. You guys will appreciate. This is our next venture. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Knuckle Up. So you'll love this concept. So it's like, we all love hockey fights or different things from back in the day, but what is all the chirping going on in the middle, and what are some of the great chirps? So we found a way to give little clips and stuff like that with a little bit behind the scenes. I think we're going to explore that, talk to different guys and stuff. So that's just a new project and stuff. But, between that and getting all about what Richie, you got to know this. Listen, 2020 in Michigan, right? gambling's legal, cannabis is legal, and I have a WJR show from 7 to 8 on Friday nights. Life is good, but
it is. Yeah.
Grind Time with Darren McCarty, NRM Streamcast. I have actually, you asked me this later today, I interviewed Travis Pastrana, who's crazier than I am. That guy's just flat. Travis is one of those guys that says, well, can I die doing it? Then I'll do it. If I can't die, I don't want to do it. I don't get that. I like life. So that's about it. Thanks, Dave.
And you know what, too? Also, life is good for you in talking about, and when it first came up, the whole talk about cannabis, I remember when we were doing the podcast a couple of years ago before we got to this place, and a guy by the name of Alan Park came in, who was part of a big comedy show on CBC National every night. This hour has 22 minutes. He was, it's the Air Force. He was with the Air Force. It's been on a long time. He was basically, when he went into a hospital, told basically get a coffin. They gave him no chance. They gave him no chance of a chemo. They just forget chemo. You're out. Any sort of radiation, don't worry about it. Just get your stuff together. Get your belongings. Get your stuff all ready. So he basically had nothing, and someone said, well, you got to try cannabis. Like you've got to reduce the thing down, get into the oils, blah blah blah. He's still alive today.
Well, Mike, the biggest thing is what you're saying there, and it's education. So as I sit here today and somebody says cannabis or whatever, listen, get it straight. I don't care if you do or you don't use it. What is important to me is that you know you have the option, okay? It's the same reason as 10, 20 years ago when they're just handing out pills and for even athletes, for people, for surgeries, because the education wasn't there. I'm not going to get mad at you. We're not going to argue. We're not going to fight about 10 years ago. We're going to fight about it today when the education in the cannabis of your system. And to your point there, Rick Simpson oil. Mr. Rick Simpson, a fellow Canadian, should have the Congressional Medal of Honor because that is the cannabis, taking the plant in its pure form and allowing it to use your system to fight off the cancers. So for me, it's Rick Simpson that allowed me to get sober, to fight that off. That's the cancer curing properties in the Rick Simpson oil, the RSO, which you have to get educated on it. That's the medical hardcore for even for alcoholics, but for cancer patients. So there's stuff out there. And I think that in this Corona COVID pandemic that the whole world is going through, like you said, Mikey, there's some decisions that you and I as persons, as Dave, make going forward, but it's about that education. The thing I love about being Canadian is that we don't shy away from it. What's the issue? All right, let's talk about it. Let's not hide from it. Yeah. And your friend is here because of it. I'm here because of it. So I'm Canadian also. So my thing is my responsibility. Riley Cote, former Philadelphia, who's sort of my guru, told me now you have the truth. It's your responsibility to do with it. I can't be quiet because I got to let everybody know there's an option so that if somebody wants to, they can still be alive like your friend, who, by the way, is funnier than heck.
Yeah. And here's something else too, that Alan, when he goes on and he makes his announcement and he talks about it, especially on my show, but he had a podcast called The Green Crush. He said when he started doing this, and of course he's in the stand-up community, a lot of his friends got angry with him because there was accusations that he was saying that using the cannabis oil was curing cancer. And he said, you're not listening to what I'm saying. It's the option. And he had no options. It wasn't that he chose cannabis oil over radiation, over chemotherapy. He said, no, but you just have to know what the option is. And if you don't educate yourself on it, or being blocked by sort of the giant pharma who probably, until they can make all the money off it, don't want to see it out there. I just think it's almost, and it's funny. So you're saying, because you had a bout with cancer, but you're saying,
well, I was alcoholism. So
it's alcoholism.
I'm the same way, right? So think about this, and I'll go. My sobriety date's 11/11/15. So think about November 8th, 9th. My organs are gonna blow up. I'm 70 pounds heavier. My alcohol is like is eating me alive. And it wasn't for the caregivers. And I'd smoke, but I would still drink it. And I had to be done because it was either that or die. And
Right.
I went with the RSO. Like, you're supposed to take it because it's the concentrate. So people start with a finger. I was doing whole, like, days and days and days, grams and grams, till 8 days later when I sort of came to, the physical addiction was gone, right? Mentally, I was ready, right? So it was taken care of. Spiritually, I was ready. It was the physicality. So like the cancer that's affecting physically, the alcoholism, it helped flush it all out. And for me, it's like, oh my God, this plant saved my life, right? I took the wing off. You Google me, you see how I protect my teammates. And I put the plant on there because it's the same way. And it's about education. Don't look at all the stuff we're dealing with, COVID-19. Everybody deals with it. You get misinformation here and here. You're finding your information. Cannabis is the same way, except now the smarter people are out in front helping with the education. So people like myself, people that want to have an option, can go there and find some information and have a better way of life.
Darren, we don't get a chance to talk to four-time Stanley Cup champions that often, so I have to ask you this, considering what your resume looks like. You win 3 Stanley Cups with Scotty Bowman, one of the most legendary coaches ever, one with Mike Babcock, who is almost maybe this version of him. I know it's 2 different coaches and one's a lot bigger than the other, but Mike Babcock definitely known as one of the bigger coaches at this time. What's the difference, and what was the difference playing between the 2 of those coaches?
Hey, Dave, as I'm sitting there too, and I'm smiling because you got, so when I left Calgary because of, or when I left Detroit to go to Calgary, when I was, bought out because of the salary cap and everything else, what a great situation. I can't speak higher about Daryl Sutter, Ken King, my experience, Colorado, with Jerome McGinley. When people say to me, Jerome McGinley's like a little bit under Steve Yzerman because he's more normal than Steve Yzerman. We had to ban UFCs from the room because him and Chucky would fight Chucky Kobasu would wrestle all the time. So we had to ban the UFCs from watching them as a team. That's pretty crazy. But in saying that, the difference between, and this is the best way to put it, right? You always have, Scotty Bowman was a coach that you didn't agree with. You hated his decisions and stuff, but you respected him because at the end of the day, you knew he was smarter than you. He was 5 moves ahead, and his motivation was rings on his finger. That's all it was. The more rings he collected, the more people listened to him, right? So didn't matter if you were the brunt of that. You knew that it was about the team. Okay, it was always the Detroit Red Wings head coach, Scotty Bowman. Now, in my experience from being there in 08 and 09, and you got to remember, this is 12 years ago. So, I mean, people have changed and stuff. But at the time, when it's Mike Babcock, head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, or Mike Babcock, head coach of Team Canada, Mike Babcock, head coach of Toronto Maple Leafs, it's a different order.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about sometimes it's my way or the highway. Scotty, it was my way or the highway, but you have everybody buying in. Like, we'll all shake our head and go, he's such an a-hole. We hate this guy. This sucks. Stuff like that. But then we go do it. And then we go end up playing for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But in saying that, again, Scotty Bowman had, when we got to him, he'd been coaching. He'd gone through this stuff. I mean, if you go through some of this stuff in St. Louis when he first started, in Montreal, I'm sure a lot of the same conversation. 10 years later, because of everything that's gone in, like, as I say, X's and O's, preparation, like stats, everything like that, Mike Babcock, there's no better. Behind the bench, like, his practices are unbelievable. He's got to work on his people skills and behind the bench, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, Dave, it's one of those things that you're looking at the one person that says, do you think that people can change? Do you think that people, can improve and make mistakes and can learn from them? Yes. Do I think that Mike Babcock is one that deserves another chance if he changes? Yes, he's that smart. But again, that's for the powers to be. I just call it like I see it. I enjoy my truth because I think that's important. And it's sort of like life. The one thing is I like Mike Babcock. Like him and we can have a conversation because I force you to give me respect, right? In that certain way, because I'm easy to get along with because there's no BS, right? So I have a role to play, especially going back. I can play it. It would have been a lot harder and a lot different if what happened, if the 90s was like the 10s, 12s, 13s after I was retired. Game has changed. We know that. People changed. The athlete's different. The player's different. It's all about life, and it's figuring it out because it's all about people. And what Scotty Bowman did, he wasn't the best coach. He was the best psychologist because he taught you. And this is the same thing, Mike, because I heard Jimmy Johnson say it. I heard Phil Jackson say it, right? We treat everybody the same, differently, right? You don't treat everybody the same because everybody's not the same, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the greatest gift that Scotty had.
And that is the key. Hey, bro, don't change. And we got to do this more often.
You got to you got to do is hit me up, bro. And why don't we, like we were talking about before, there's some conversations that I think that you and I can have, and we'll have with my boy Nick, and see if we can do something hockey wise. You got to give the people what they want. And I think that the three of us talking is a good thing.
That was just awesome.
Wicked.
You take care. We're going to talk to you again real soon. This was a real treat, man. This was a real pleasure. I'm so happy. That was awesome.
You bet, buddy. All right. Dave, hey, Dave, keeping Mikey in line. I like it, buddy. As long as you're there, I know he's in good shape. But you guys are some of my favorites, and we'll catch up down the road, whatever you need me.
That is awesome. Grind Time, by the way, is the name of the podcast. Darren McCarty joined us here this morning. I knew it would be great. It was sensational. What else is new? We'll talk to him again very, very soon. I know we got to run to the traffic. We're a little bit late.